Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to both chairmen, my colleagues, members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for bringing up this piece of legislation. House Bill 1104 does something important in Pennsylvania. As we know, we're part of the Rust Belt, so we've had a lot of deindustrialization. So when we look around our communities, one of the #1 complaints is blight. We have many untapped resources. We have abandoned manufacturing sites. We have brownfields. In the area that I come from, we have many brownfields. Actually, even in our city, we have over 250 acres in Hazleton City that's available. So we had sat down with a work group and looked at the website that we currently have with DCED, and there are a lot of sites that are not listed. So this piece of legislation enacts that we would be listing these sites on a registry, and this would help us become more business friendly and attract investors throughout the world as well as throughout our nation, for them to come to Pennsylvania and let us know that we are open for business in Pennsylvania. And hopefully we can revitalize a lot of our communities that have died, in essence. So I would ask the members for an affirmative vote respectively, and I'm willing to take questions.
Thank you. Discussion on the bill? Representative Kenyatta.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Good. So I have a couple of questions. So what is the impetus for this? Because I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Representative, that municipalities, maybe even some land banks, are already doing this. I can also think about when I was still at the Chamber of Commerce, Select and some of the marketing arms had already put together this information. And so I wonder, like, is this, from your perspective, duplicative in any way? What's the real, meat and potatoes of this? Why would we do this?
So it's not, Pennsylvania, we want to be competitive. So we are competing right now against other states to draw in business. So if investors, developers, businesses that want to come in can look at right on a website and see, like, wow, look, here's all this vacant land, this prior use industrial building would be advantageous for something that they're using in their development. So it would make it easier. So right now it's very piecemeal and inadequate, and this would have a central site for the entire state of Pennsylvania so that we can group together and attract jobs and attract investors. And they may be investors right here within our state, but we are not communicating and marketing ourselves correctly to be able to be competitive.
So just one follow-up, Chairman, if I might. So if there are, because as I just mentioned, I know the Chamber has done some of this work. I know some municipalities, maybe some do it better than others, and I think that's a fair sort of view for you to take. But in general, if folks are doing it well, will we be saving some time and some money? Because I don't know where the money is coming from to do this, but will we be able to save some money and some time if we just said, hey, Select Greater Philadelphia is doing this really well. Why can't DCED link to their sites? And are there other states that have done this that made you sort of look and say, hey, Pennsylvania is really falling behind in some way?
So I was looking at Pennsylvania, and we were looking at the websites in Pennsylvania. So if Greater Philadelphia has an extremely comprehensive list, that should be something that can easily link with the state and be on that statewide registry.
And are there other states that are doing this? I'm sorry.
I'm not quite sure. I'm sure that they are, but all I know is that in Pennsylvania, we need to do it better.
Representative Kale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say, coming from Beaver County and Washington County on the western side of the state, where there are a lot of brownfields, it is very difficult for manufacturers to find them and find the opportunities that could come with that. And I really appreciate the effort that you put into this and putting this bill forward. It's really going to help in that regard. If there's other entities that do it well, I think that's also something we should look at. But thank you for taking the initiative on this. And I think it's going to do a lot of good. And I think it's a pretty simple step to do a lot of good. So thank you.
Representative Rabb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm curious how your bill kind of connects to what's already happening with DEP as it relates to their cleanup and brownfields activity and use limitations registry. And I'm at their website, and again, this is just the website, but it seems pretty comprehensive. I'm wondering how what you've proposed complements or replaces what's already being done by DEP.
So this is actually would be with DCED, where we would be able to link the website that you're referring to. When we had gone through in a work group, it wasn't as comprehensive as it should have been, and there were lots of sites that were missing. And I think really part of that problem is that the impetus is on local government to come forward with a marketing agenda and get themselves listed and be proactive. And I think we as the state, we have the resources, and that we can be the people that are in charge of that and maintain it statewide, so we can do a better job. So that site there was insufficient, in my opinion.
Thank you.
One of the things that I've always said that we don't do a very good job at the state level is with departments within themselves not speaking to each other or being a part of each other. And I think this helps insinuate and helps to move that needle forward in being able to discuss different things and see different things with different departments throughout the Commonwealth. Are there any other questions? Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Just a couple quick questions about cost. The overall cost of this bill, this registry, and in particular with DCED, have you reached out to them as far as hiring additional staff and what they feel it's going to cost to maintain the registry?
In our conversation, cost did not show up or come up. I think mainly because they are doing this in some areas, that they do have a small website right now. There is a nonprofit that has another website. So cost, I think that it would be nominal since it's internet driven, and we already have the staffing available in our government to make this happen. And I don't think it's a huge lift. But I guess we would work that out if this bill would get out of committee, Mr. Chairman, with your affirmative vote.
Ooh, very good.
Thank you for being here.
Very good. Oh, very good. Who? Representative Kinyuana?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because Representative, I won a number of your bills, and I think all of it's very thoughtful. I do just worry that this was going to be duplicative. And I know the administration opposes this for different reasons, and I was going back and forth. I'm going to be a no for that reason. I think there are other websites, other folks who are already doing this, and I'd love to work with you to find a way to just update what we have as opposed to creating something else new. But I do, and I thank you for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Representative Jones?
Yeah, our state constantly ranks in the bottom quarter on just about any survey or poll or study that's done when it comes to business friendliness, economic development, and so forth. And when I listen to the opposition to these two bills, now I understand why. I mean, if we can't get this right, who is it exactly that we think is going to come to Pennsylvania and pay $15 an hour wage jobs minimum, who is going to tolerate 10% corporate net income tax, who is going to be routinely sued by the Philadelphia trial lawyers, and we can't even put a registry of abandoned sites on a web page? I mean, we're just getting whooped by virtually every state around us. I mean, when you can't compete with Massachusetts and Maryland and Delaware and Ohio and New Jersey, we better wake up, because I'll tell you what, we might as well just put a totally unwanted, we are closed for business when we can't get this kind of simple stuff correct. So I certainly applaud the bill. It's an absolute no-brainer, in my opinion. It helps the environment. It helps us develop manufacturing jobs, which are what sustain our economy. So I'll be a very, very, very strong yes vote on this. And so thank you for all the work on it.
Representative Cal moves that House Bill 1104 is reported from committee. Do we have? We'll get it to another one. We'll get it then. We have a second by Representative Gatos. Any further discussion? Who do we have?
I'm going to keep my comments to the bill itself.
Zabel, yes. Representative Zabel.
I think this is a good idea. I do have some concern. I don't believe it would be a nominal cost. I will vote to advance this forward because I do think it's a good idea. But before I can commit to an affirmative vote on the floor, I'd need to see a more concrete estimate of what the cost will be. But thank you for your effort in bringing it forward.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please. Yes.
Representative Bernstein. Yes. Representative Brooks. Yes. Representative Delabar.
Yes.
Representative Gatos. Yes. Representative Briner. Yes. Representative Jones. Representative Joziak.
Proxy, yes.
Representative Kale. Yes. Representative McKenzie.
Proxy, yes.
Metzger.
Proxy, yes.
Representative Costello. Yes. Representative Piscari. Yes. Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Chairman Galloway.
No.
Representative Cerisi.
Proxy, no.
Representative Davidson.
Proxy, no.
Representative Driscoll. Representative Hainbridge. Representative Kenyatta. No. Representative Markosik. No. Representative McNeil. No. Representative Rabb. Yes. And Representative Zabel.
Yes.
Looks like congratulations are in fact your bill has been reported out of committee.
Mr. Chairman.